Yo, what's going on, guys? This is the build that I'll be using for today's video. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give out tips that for PvP. There's a few cool things that people don't really use and should know that could help them a lot. And to start off, it's the tunneling and re-engaging, as it's the most important part of PvP, especially in 1v1s. And the main thing about tunneling is that when you sprint, your turning is a lot wider compared to as when you just walk, it's a lot tighter. So just knowing how to use those together. Now, it may not look like it makes that much of a difference, but it does. I guarantee you, if you sprint all the time compared to someone that walks on their turns, is going to be behind you the whole entire fight, and you will not be able to out-turn them at all. A big part of PvP is literally just tail riding people and not getting hit. Especially if you're something smaller and weaker. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to out-turn everything that you fight, as certain dinosaurs have way better turn radiuses than others. But it's going to help a lot against bigger stuff and the same dinosaurs you're fighting. Not only that doesn't mean that you should always do it. Sometimes it is better just to sprint, especially if your dinosaur already has a really good turn radius. For example, the Styrak and the Albert, they don't need to do it as much. But there is dinos like the Conch and anything that doesn't really have a juke that can benefit from this a lot. And you'll see me use it in the video a lot. So yeah. Now, your camera angle also matters. So where you look matters a lot, is wherever your dino's looking, that's where it's going to go. So it's good to pre-look where you're going to go and then turn. What I do is I run in a straight line, and when I'm about to turn, I stop sprinting and then I take the turn, and then I get back to sprinting. So it's kind of on and off that you do this, and it's very important for you to look in a specific area, as it's just going to speed up the process of turning. Now, sometimes you'll kind of get in a turning battle and you're losing it. It's good to get some distance if you can. It's a little bit harder with the Conch because you don't have a tail attack to knock people away. But if you can get some distance away from people and then just re-engage, as it's better to reset than constantly be in a losing turning battle. And you'll kind of know when to reset, because they will just be tail riding you the whole time and you'll barely be hitting the tip of their tail. It's honestly a lot better in the water because you have a dodge as a Conch, but you could always fake people out by going left to right or just taking the turn. But doing a lot of fakes is really good. It makes people guess. What do you mean by fakes? I mean slightly making your guy go to the left. Don't actually turn, just make a slight maneuver to the right or left and then turn. So yeah, I'm gonna actually show a clip of it, that way it's easier for you to understand. There's just small jitters that you do from left to right. Even you could even double up on 2 lefts or 2 rights and then just do it. Sorry for the background noise as well, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then you turn. It just kind of keeps people guessing rather than, doing a turn itself. It's pretty easy to protect the turn. And it's really, turning is only going to work so much until somebody else is doing the exact same thing as you, or just has a way better turn radius. So yeah. Now, there's also other ways to get people off of your tail. And what do I mean by that? I mean brake checking. And how do you brake check? Well, it's whatever you use for your precise movement. You pretty much just keep running in a straight line, and then whenever you get enough distance from someone, you can just hold your precise button, and it will just stop you in place, because precise movement just like halts your sprinting, and it just halts you in general. So you'll just be able to, people will sometimes run right past you, and then you can precise turn right into them and hit them in the face with, example, a heavy bite or just a normal bite. And I'm gonna show a clip of that. Now, another thing is your camera angle. No matter what you're doing, it's pretty important to, I always like to look behind me so I can see where other people are. And I can also just prepare for a turn. So yeah, just having your camera angle, you'll see a lot of the times I'm always looking behind me. That way I can see where I'm going. But it's just small things like that. It works a lot better when you're a lot faster. For example, the conch and something that's a lot faster than you. So this works perfectly against smaller dinos. Say you're a dasp and you're getting chased by conchs or apaches. A lot of the times they'll go right past you while you precise turn right into them, and you just end up getting a free bite. And this is also really good to use with the heavy bite on the dasp. Now you can also use your abilities for movement stuff. For example, like your kick or your shove propels you forward, which kind of gets you behind the enemy, so it works that way as well. And moving on to stamina management, pretty much you just have to watch your stamina, which sounds pretty easy, but when you're in a fight, you get distracted and you're not watching what you're doing. So best way to just watch your stamina is don't use abilities that use stamina often, especially if you need to run. For example, if I'm getting chased by a bunch of small stuff on my dasp and I'm getting also chased by a Tyrannotytan, I'm not going to use Tyrant's Roar and I'm not going to use my heavy bite because both of those use stamina. So I just don't want to give up that stamina because I can always fight the smaller stuff, but I can't fight a Rex when I'm out of stamina. So yeah, also just knowing when to rest is important, because a lot of people will fully rest in the middle of like SLL, and then somebody will just run up and kill them. Now so if you're gonna rest in a hotspot, just sit down, don't fully sleep. Obviously because you regain stamina and HP twice as fast when you're sitting and 4 times as fast when you're sleeping. Same goes for HP, but you also take 2 times damage when you sit and 4 times when you sleep. So yeah, you just have to be careful. So when I'm in a fight, I just sit down unless I've got enough distance, like quite a big distance, and I know something can't make up on it. Then I'll fully rest. Or if you've just got a very fast stand up like the Meg does, then you can afford to fully sleep, as if you see someone coming you can easily just get up. So yeah, just watching your stamina is very important, just because once you're out of stamina you're pretty much dead. I'm just going to give some tips for newer players. When you have poison on you or any type of status effects, so bone break, bleed, poison, if you just sit down, if you just stop moving in general, you will regain, you'll heal faster from bone break and bleed. But if you sit down, you'll heal even faster from any of those, and then if you sleep it goes even faster. So just keep that in mind for the newer players. Now I want to get back to the precise movement. As you can see, I'm using it here to tail ride the Suko. So when you're tail riding someone, it's pretty good to use your precise movement. As just like in the name, like your movement is a lot more precise. Obviously you're a lot slower, but you can steadily just stay on someone, whereas sprinting, you can't. It's like big movements compared to these very small movements. So it's just amazing against fighting apexes, especially EOs. They don't have like a tail attack besides the automatic one that pops every 30 seconds. So you can see here I'm just precise turning at times. Obviously if you make a mistake you're going to get hit, but once you get good enough at it, and especially against players that aren't so good, it's amazing. So yeah, just against anything that doesn't even have a tail attack. So yeah, so just precise movement behind people that you're tail riding works very well. Now sometimes it's better just to precise turn and not even run away from something. Example, if you are a dasp fighting conchs, there's no point of you trying to turn around to them by, you know, sprinting and stuff. You're better off just a precise turn and moving into them, as they'll end up running into your bites and stuff like that. I will show a clip of me using the dasp and using its precise turn and its tail attack and all of those things against a bigger group right after I'm done fighting this Suko, just so you can see how useful the precise turn can be against smaller dinos. Like, you don't even need to run away and turn often to be good, especially as like a dasp. There's times to turn, but there's also times where you just have to stand your base and use that precise turn and tail hit combo to hit people. So I'm gonna put that clip right after this one. So yeah. Now another thing about precise turn, once again, it just like, if you ever need to stop in place, it's more of a tip, just getting down cliffs with you precise turn and walk slowly, you'll take less fall damage. While this clip plays, you're gonna see me use the precise turn as there'll be times where you'll see me rush a lot, but there'll be times like this right here where I'll just stand my base and precise turn, as there's no need to turn a lot with such a great turn radius. And you can also use the precise turn defensively. You're going to see later on the Kentro tries to hit me with its tail, and a lot of the times I'll just move out the way because I'm just able to precise turn, or else I will precise turn and just tail hit something. So that works really well. And while I'm on this clip, I'm just going to talk about pressure. And pressure is important because right here you can see I'm pressuring these guys, and I get a bunch of free hits because they just weren't expecting it. So they just thought because there's many of them, I wouldn't get aggressive. But it's good to be aggressive sometimes. Don't chase people, but if you see a good opportunity to pressure someone and get a couple of bites off, do it. It's just going to deteriorate people and it's going to drop their confidence. It's just going to make you look a lot better than you are, and it's just going to make them scared and think twice about doing stuff. So pressuring people is very important. So yeah. And another thing about pressure, this is more about when you're with a teammate. Even when you're low, you don't want to act like you're low, because then they're just going to get very confident and they know you're low. They're just going to go for it, and you know, they'll start doing stupid things that, you know, might work. But as you can see, I get very aggressive on these guys even though I'm low, but at the same time I'm playing it smart to where I'm not overcommitting. I'm still, you know, punishing when I have to, but standing my base when I should. And that will kind of just come from experience. And yeah, but you just seen I was using the precise turn to dodge the tail hits and as much as I could and just stand my base against all the other stuff, and I was way outnumbered. But yeah, now, not all dinos have a great precise turn, so it won't work for everything, but something is the dasp. I mean, it's got one of the best precise turns, and you can see I end up killing the Kentro. So yeah. Another thing is about pressure. This is more about when you're fighting with a team. Even when you're low, just like before, you kind of want to stick around, especially if you're fighting something that can't punish you and kill you. You want to just stick around, aka just something slower than you. You want to stick around just to give the enemy things to think about. It's a lot harder to 1v2 than it is to 1v1. So if you just have him focus on 2 people instead of 1, you know, you have him guessing, and he has to pick who he wants to focus more. So you can just switch out with your teammate. Another thing about pressure is just the distance that you run away from people. I'll see a lot of people just run really far from the person, and the person won't even chase them. Bad players will chase you, but good players will not go around chasing you at all. They'll put some aggression in, but they won't just chase you. So, you know, you've went all that distance, you've wasted a bunch of stamina just running for no reason. You know, whereas you want to stay close, just close enough to where you're not getting hit, but you're ready to get a hit in, so hit and don't get hit. And just putting pressure on, so you're close enough to the guy where he's looking at you, and then your friend can come behind and get a few free hits on him. Same way for you. Just switching out, just bait and switching. And to be good at bait and switching, you have to play close to your friend. That doesn't mean you're right beside each other. That means you could be on one side of the guy, he could be on the other, and the guy just keeps switching on who he focuses and who hits. And just because you're getting no hits doesn't mean you're not putting in good pressure. You could be right beside the guy and getting a bunch of hits in on him. Or you could be the guy that's right there and getting no hits, but you're constantly faking them out, making him look at you instead of your friend. And it opens up opportunities for your friend to do the damage where you're taking his attention. So yeah, that's what I mean by pressure. Just constantly being there, but not being there to get hit. So you're taking his attention, and then your friend's doing damage, or vice versa. So yeah, it's really good. Now I'm going to talk about drawn out fights, just fights that last a long time. The most important thing about long fights is the heal rate of dinos. That's really what's important. So if you are a dino that has a slow heal rate, you don't really want to be taking a long fight. You kind of want to get the kill and then just leave. Because if not, if you can't kill the guy, he's just going to keep healing until he finally out-heals you and kills you. Obviously it's hard to out-heal someone when you're doing like 0 damage, but at the same time it's just like a reset. Maybe the next time they'll have better luck of catching you out and stuff like that. So what's important to do when you're in a long fight? Keeping your food and water high is very good. Just if you've got high food and water, even though you've got a lower heal rate than other dinos, your heal rate's gonna be better than theirs, because your heal rate goes down when you're low on food and water. So the more food and water you have, the better. So yeah, so just if you're fighting a Rex, do not let him kill one of your friends. If he's low, just leave, heal up, come back. And also just having bleed on people helps with that as well, because when you have bleed on people, they cannot heal because bleed keeps them in combat timer. So if you're in a prolonged fight, if you like prolonged fights, run bleed. Just keep people in combat the whole time while you guys are just sitting there resting. Obviously have one guy sitting and watch him, just whoever has the most health, and then the rest of the guys just heal up. And then you're back in the fight. You've healed all of your HP back, they've healed nothing. So yeah, just the main thing about prolonged fights is just patience. Just don't overcommit, because once you die, especially when fighting other carnivores, you just gave them the food they needed to stay in the fight. So yeah, that's a tip for fighting big dinos. So yeah, other than that, prolonged fights, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just a lot of nutrition, just making sure you're good on health, food and water, and just out healing the guy over time and just having bleed on him. So yeah, I'm going to talk about map knowledge and how an escape. For example, if I'm a conquer and I can see there's a bunch of stuff there, specifically land stuff, I know that there's a lake nearby and I can just get in the lake and just use that as an escape. But say that they might have a conch of their own, my main focus would be to take out that conch, because whatever stops me from having an escape plan is the biggest threat to your survivability. So just knowing the map is really good, because there'll be certain rocks you can get up on where other stuff can't get up on, or maybe they've got a few things that can get up on, but at least it's not a 1v5, it's a 1v2 now. Or if something big can get up and you have knockback, you can kick it off a cliff, stuff like that. And another thing is just taking out the threat that's stopping you from escaping. For example, if I'm another alio and I see another alio, I want to kill the alio first, because that's the only thing that's going to be able to catch you that can actually kill you. So yeah, just taking care of, you know, the things that can punish you is very important for your survivability. You know, because you can be as good as you want, but there's times where you just have to get out of there and you know, get your health back, or maybe you just had a bad start and you have to reset. So there's just stuff like that, or maybe there's more people than expected, so you just kind of always need an escape route, unless you're just willing to die, which is fine. I mean, it happens all the time, but I mean, most of the time you kind of want to live. You know, no one goes in wanting to die. You know, if you could win a 1v5, then you would win the 1v5 every single time. But yeah, now I'm going to talk about camera angles. They're pretty good actually. A lot of people don't know this, but you can zoom in on your character, or zoom out if you want. Zooming in really works well in the water. That way you're not, you know, going in and out. Your camera angle doesn't go in and out of the water, as it happens often, especially when you fight near the surface of the water. Your camera will just go in and out. So you can zoom in. The way you do this on the Xbox is you press your chat. However, you pull up your chat and then you press RT, or if you're on PS, it's just your bottom right trigger, and then your bottom left trigger, so LT, if you want to zoom out. I use this a lot when I'm fighting in trees against raptors. That's when I'll use it, just because you can't see them because they're really small, but when you're zoomed in you can. The trees don't get in your way of you. Same thing for when I'm a conch. I used to use it all the time. I should definitely use it more. When I'm fighting in the water, I'll zoom in and it helps. I can see better. It just gives me a different view than, you know, being zoomed out. So I think there's advantages to both being zoomed in and zoomed out. So yeah, I don't really like zooming in on land, but there's times where you just need to chase stuff that's small and, you know, very just like a lot of foliage. That's when you could use it. But yeah, that's kind of up to you. Another thing is just knowing dinos, knowing their stats, knowing their movement speed, combat weight, their abilities. That's going to help you a lot with just, you know, knowing what you're fighting is going to help a lot. For example, when I play the DASP, I use fin scoots to fight smaller things. The Miriguaya doesn't look that heavy, but it's actually 4,000, whereas the DASP is 3.5, so it's heavier than me. So I take more damage from the Miriguaya. So the best way to, you know, check, to just know these things is go on the Google page, the Path of Titans wiki, and it just tells you all the stats. Just knowing what you can run away from, knowing what can outstam you, knowing the abilities that the dino has to directly counter them, or that maybe is a bad matchup for you. Stuff like that is just really good. But yeah, another really important thing is your button layout. I actually changed mine's about. It's a lot different on controller, so I use controller, and I'm gonna kind of show it. So this is what I use. The reason I use 3 attacks for or 3 different buttons for my 3 attacks is it's a lot easier just pressing one button, and I like having those 3 together, because I felt like when I was using 2 buttons, first of all, I couldn't use my first 2 attacks when I was using my 3rd attack, but now it's a lot smoother, so I can use all 3 attacks, you know, a lot more swiftly than I would before. I guess it's just kind of up to you what you prefer and what you play better with, but that's what I use. And I'm going to show you my interaction thing as well. I use X to pick up trophies, because when I was using whatever the default was, I was going into my vocal wheel a lot and just what's it called, getting you know, I was missing the trophy and getting myself killed from trying to steal the trophy. So I just made it my X. And another thing, I took my auto run off of my D-pad just because it was very annoying. I would accidentally auto run quite often, so I just made it my LB and X, which I'm never gonna accidentally do. At most, I'm gonna accidentally drop a trophy, but I can, you know, that's kind of up to you. Now you could use your right stick as your third ability, but the problem with that is that's how you dive underwater. So, you know, you would have to use B as your crouch, so circle and PS. But I just prefer, you know, having that right stick to move around underwater. I just find it way more fluid. So yeah. Now the last thing is just consistency. Just consistently playing the game and consistently PvPing will get you better at the game. Which is pretty simple. I mean, you know, if you play the game a long time, you kind of know all the abilities of every single dinosaur, you know, and their stats. You kind of have it memorized. You have the map memorized, and that will just be an advantage within itself. Just knowledge of the game is very important. Knowing when to use your abilities and how to use them, you know, all of that is gonna make you a way better player than not knowing. So yeah, that was that's pretty much all the tips that I have. I mean, there's, you know, small things. For example, just through the motor gives you faster HP regen and stam regen, fish buffs, you know, stuff like that. But I think the most important thing is just knowing how to turn, and using just precise turn and turning are probably the most important parts of the game. For the rest of the video, I'm just gonna go over the gameplay. So yeah. Also, just one more thing. If you're on controller, if you know, the hardest. So the best thing about low sense players is they have great tracking. It's really easy to stay on someone. But the problem is when you start fighting multiple targets, especially if you're a bigger dino, it gets really hard to, you know, switch between targets. So for example, I play on higher sense. I play on 1.7 and 1.4. I consider that high. I don't think you need much more than that. As I think some people, you know, they run very high sense and then they just can't hit anything. They just can't stay on someone. So yeah. So if you run smaller sense, you're going to be a lot better at tracking stuff. If you run higher sense, you know, you'll be a lot better at fighting multiple people. So yeah. And just, you know, you probably be a little bit better in fighting and, like, you know, turn battles as well. But yeah, either way, I decided to play some Gondor just to switch it up from Pandora, because you see me on Pandora all the time. I just wanted to switch it up, you know. I have quite a lot of dinos on here as well, so yeah, you're gonna see some more Gondor gameplay. Obviously I'm still just playing Pandora most of the time, but it's just nice to switch it up, something different, and the map just looks very nice. But yeah, also earlier in the video you see me fighting a Metri and a Conch and a 1v2 both of them. I just want to point out that Metri was biting instead of clawing, which it does less damage. You should never want to bite as a Metri. You just want to claw. Yeah, the Metri bite is useless. It used to do something a really long time ago. For poison, that's how I used to put poison on people on Metri. It was just like meh. But yeah. Also, another thing is, if you go to your character, you open up your chat menu, go to character, it actually shows you all of your buffs and debuffs. So that's another thing. You know, that's just pretty basic stuff. But yeah, either way, we got into a group fight here, and you can see there's a bunch of conchs and stuff, and you know, we already killed the Metri. I'm pretty sure these guys were in a fight before, and we just came in third party these guys. And this guy goes into the water, which was actually a mistake. You can see, even though I'm low, I'm still around helping out, and I hit him with a debuff to make the conquer slower, just to make it easier for my teammates. Either way, we back to Pandora, and seen this Sickle, and got a couple of free hits on him, but he's back. The only problem with Riptide, honestly, is you can't really tail ride as good as you could with the normal bite, just because it's a big long animation. So by the time your animation is gone, the chances are someone's just gonna tail hit you away. But yeah. Also, for anyone that's new, tail hit doesn't do a lot of damage. It's more for knocking people away. If you tail hit someone and then precise stun, just like exactly what he done there, it's really good for that. It gives you distance. Here I'm just trying to hit this guy's tail. Just trying to cheese. Just trying to get some free hits. But yeah. And this guy puts himself against the wall, which isn't a bad idea. But honestly, I mean, this guy just isn't very good. If I was him, I would have took this to the water instantly. It's really easy to defend yourself in the water. And it's annoying in shallow water as well, because your camera starts messing up. But it goes two ways, so keep that in mind. But yeah. And you can see he hit me one time and it deflates so much of my health. The only problem is when you're fighting conks is that dodge, makes you way slower by 15%, and it stacks up to 3 times, so 45% slower is the chances. Anyway, we found these Rexes and just took the fight, just putting on damage. When you fight stuff like this, you're not really expecting to kill it, you're just trying to be a little bit annoying. Now, why do I say you're not really expecting to kill it is because most of the time Apexes, when they get low, they'll put themselves up against water, which you can't do because I'm a conk. So I can just get in the water with him and be perfectly fine. I have a great swim speed. But he can still put himself up against a wall or a cliff. The problem with the annoying thing about Apexes putting themselves in cliffs, you literally can't do anything because you can't hit the front because, bite for bite, they're quite long. The heads of Apexes are quite long usually because they're really big. So you're just going to get hit, hit for hit. It's never going to be worth it against a Rex. And then once they put themselves against that cliff and you get behind them, they can tail hit you off the cliff and knock you off of the cliff and just kill you that way. It's happened many times to me, and it's very annoying. So I mean, the only thing you have to watch out for is an Apex when you are on top of a cliff is just like patches and stuff with knockback that can just lunge you off. But yeah, and you can see the other Rexes. It's also very hard for other Rexes to protect a Rex without hitting their own Rex, because you're very big. But yeah, and you can see what does this guy do. He obviously puts himself up against a wall, and at this point it's better to leave the fight most of the times. Unless they're really low, you can go for it. But I actually end up going for it. I get up on top of a rock, you're gonna see in a second, and I'm just gonna jump in and send it. Yeah, if someone's that low, then you could go for it. And you can see I get stuck on this guy, but luckily the guy misses me, just barely misses me, and I get out and we kill the Rex.